Well, I'm going to do this a third time because the first two are way too long. I'm going to make a couple videos on how to create a Yomi character because I see some people who can't really figure it out, and the tutorials made by Duion are kind of outdated by now. So the first thing you should definitely do is join the modding server because it will give you access to two things. First of all is go.steam here, which is a variant of Go that you're going to need to be able to actually mod the game. And the second thing that you'll need is a decompile of the game, which you can obtain here. You also need a program to create sprites in. I'm going to be using a sprite because it has some wonderful tools for you to use, but you can use anything that exports as PNGs. Once you've installed the decompile, you need to open it with go.engine, and it will take you to this menu that has all of the files of the game in here. I already have a bunch of character files here, but we'll be making another one. But this character here that I've already made a couple sprites for yesterday when I was recording it for the first time. So to make the folder for a character, you need to start with a base folder that I'm just going to call underscore my name and then my character name, which is going to be noktorial. This is the layout I like to use. It's not mandatory, but it's preferred. Then you add another folder inside it called characters. Another folder inside that's the character name. And then multiple folders inside here. AUID, effects, icons, projectiles, sounds, sprites, and states. That's all you need. If you don't know what any of these mean, that's fine. I will explain them more in other videos when I actually get onto making those. But once you see it's loaded inside your actual decompile, you need to search for something called base char, which stands for base character. And you right click and you create a new inherited scene, which means you're borrowing all the files from here to make a new character like that. So there are multiple things we need to do here. First, we need to save it inside our character folder with the character's name. It would be noktorial. We look for this node all the way at the top. This blue circle thing is a node, and you put that, change that to the character's name as well. Next, we can go over to sprites. We go to the right, so you have frames and then the actual sprite object. And you want to press this drop down and make it unique, which means you're making your own version of it. Save. I'm going to save it as noktorial SF, which just stands for sprite frames. Click off and click on again to make sure this actually selects this. And then we can get on to editing the sprites of it. Let me just actually add the sprites to the sprites folder. So once the animations are actually inside your file, you can replace them. If you navigate over to your sprites object here, you can see all the different animations your character has. I've deleted a couple, like the quick slash drop kick, because we don't need those. If we navigate over to wait and then select the first frame, we can delete this. I'm going to be using that button here, which add frames from a sprite sheet, because I use sprite sheets in my animations. If I select this, set this to the canvas size, which is 192 by 192, and then select this, it selects the first frame of the idol. If I add this, it's now inside the sprite sheet. Or not the sprite sheet, but it's inside the sprite frame. I'm going to do this again for my landing animation. If I search up landing, which I have here, I can delete the first frame, press this, and then navigate over to the jump, because the first frame of the jump is my landing animation. That's how I've had it. So if I want to select just that, I can do 192 by 192, because that's the size of just one of these frames. Select, clear, and then just press this one to select the first one. And the landing, if I press animation, I can go to landing and look at it down here. That's now the landing animation. So I've done this for the rest of my jump animations. If I look to fall, I have the fall animation here. Editor note, I forgot to mention that fall is not actually an animation that's there normally, but you can add it by pressing new animation and scrolling down to new anim, double clicking that, and then writing fall. It will say fall 1 because I already have one, but I just forgot to say that. And if I look at the 3 jumps, double jump, jump, jump back, I have them all using the first 4 frames of the jump sprite. They're all using these, like that. I'll do it for the dashes as well, since that's just 2 frames. Shouldn't be that difficult. And that's all the sprites that I've made for so far added. Before we put the character in game, there's something we need to do real quick. If we go to filter nodes up here and search up jump, you'll get jump, super jump, and double jump. These are the jump states. Hold shift to select all of these. Then, if we go to ticks per frame down here on the right, change this to 2. What ticks per frame does is it determines how fast your animation plays. At ticks per frame equals 1, every frame it will go to the next frame of the animation. Every tick it will go to the next frame of the animation. A tick being like a 60th of a second. Ticks per frame equals 2 means every 2 ticks it will go to the next frame. So it plays half as fast. 2 ticks per frame in most cases is a perfect speed. 1 is too fast, and 3 is generally too slow. Unless you do it for something like projectiles, then you can try different numbers of ticks per frame. But 2 is a good number. And also set this to -1, so there's no limit for the actual jump animation time. So now I think it's time for us to actually get our character in-game. You saw it for a second, but if you search up global.gd, you'll get this script here. You don't need to focus on any of this. Just scroll down a little and you should see name paths, which will have the 5 character name paths. You'll want to make something like this. So, in quotes, the character name, which is, for us, noktorial, then colon, and then more quotes. Then you can get rid of this. Navigate over to your character actual TSCN file, which is the scene, which means the object itself. Right-click and press copy path. Then paste it into here, and then press commas, just in case anything else won't, break immediately afterwards. So after you've done that, try and boot up the game. This might take a while, so I'll just skip through that. Once your game has loaded, you can full screen it, press single player, and you'll see your character show up here. You can select it, select Ninja, and they should have loaded just fine. They have the jump sprites. Oh, that's something we need to fix. We kept looping on for the jump animation, which you shouldn't have. Yeah, we can fix that right now. So fixing whatever the hell we just did is pretty easy. If we look up the jump animations, select all of these again, we can turn off loop animation, because we don't want it to loop, we just want it to stop on that final jump frame. Then we can look at full, and set the animation to full. If you want, you can set 2 ticks per frame here, but we don't have more than 1 jump frame, so it doesn't matter. You should probably also set it to super full as well, because super full also uses the full animation. So if we go back in game, the jump animation now plays properly. Same with the landing animation. And the dashes. They work lovely. Cool. So that is the most basic start to actually creating a character. Depending on the reception of this, I can make more videos on how to create moves, create projectiles, create fancy effects and stuff. Show you a bit of code, depending on how this goes. I don't know. I completely winged this. I didn't make a script or anything. I hope it's not too long either. So, enjoy at least.